Hi everyone, I'm John Hope, Senior Technology Evangelist at Sophos, and I would like to welcome you to the first episode in our MDR week. In this episode, we'll be looking in a lot more detail at what MDR services are and why organizations are adopting MDR services. In this session, we'll be looking at what MDR services are and why organizations are adopting MDR services. By way of an introduction, I am Senior Technology Evangelist here at Sophos. I've already mentioned that. I've been at Sophos since 2011, and I've enjoyed various different roles while I've been here. But of course, it's not really about me. It is, of course, about the content that we are looking to cover off during today. So what we'll do is begin with a quick overview of the MDR week agenda so you can see what's coming up today and also for the remainder of the series. Then today I'll be handing over to our resident expert, Sally Adam, and she will take you through what MDR is and also importantly what MDR is not. She will also be looking at who consumes MDR services and why, and finishing up with looking at some of the key benefits around the MDR services. Then I'll remind you once again about what to look forward to in the rest of the series, and we'll conclude with a question and answer session. So once again, hello and welcome to the MDR series. This is the first in a series of 3 webinars, and during the series, we will be looking at a different aspect of MDR during each session. The first session today is looking at what motivates organizations to adopt MDR services and why they are doing so. The next session on the 26th of October, we will look at MDR services in action. So we'll have a sneak peek behind the scenes of our MDR service and actually hear from some of the people, some of the experts who are hands on keyboard fighting the cyber criminals and looking after our customers' networks. The third session, we'll look in much more detail at the business benefits of MDR. We'll look at some of those benefits in principle, but then we'll also hear from some of our end users about the benefits that they have seen after moving over to our MDR services. So without any further delay, I would like to hand over to Sally to take you through the core part of this session.
Hello, I'm Sally Adams, Senior Director at Sophos, and I'd like to welcome you to the first session in MDR Week, where we're going to focus on why organisations are increasingly using Managed Detection and Response, or MDR services. Specifically, over the next half hour, what we're going to look at is what MDR is, and also, importantly, what it's not, because with all the hype, it can be hard to get clarity. Why MDR adoption is growing so fast, who uses MDR and the different ways you can work with MDR providers, the top benefits of using an MDR service reported by organisations actually using them, and also going to provide an introductory overview to the Sophos MDR service. Now, MDR is all about keeping you ahead of adversaries. To understand the need for MDR, we first need to look at what we're up against and how cyber threats have evolved over recent years. I'd like to start by walking you through a recent incident that Sophos incident responders were brought in to remediate. In May, an automotive supplier was hit with 3 separate ransomware attacks. All 3 started with the exploitation of the same misconfiguration, a firewall rule exposing remote desktop protocol on a management server. The first ransomware group, Lockbit, exfiltrated data to the mega cloud storage service. They used Mimikatz to extract passwords, and then they distributed their ransomware binary using PSExec, a legitimate Microsoft tool. The second group, Hive, used RDP for a second time, this time to move laterally before dropping their ransomware just 2 hours after the Lockbit threat actors. And then, as the victim was restoring their data from backups, an Alpha Black Cat affiliate accessed the network, installed Altera Agent to establish persistence, which is a legitimate remote access tool, and then exfiltrated data. And 2 weeks after the Lockbit and the Hive attacks, Alpha Black Cat distributed their ransomware and cleared Windows event logs. At this point, the organisation brought in the Sophos team to investigate and remediate the incident. Now, as well as creating an ongoing nightmare for this organisation, the story illustrates a number of the ways cyber attacks have evolved and why technology alone cannot stop every threat. Firstly, adversaries are frequently exploiting weaknesses in security posture to penetrate organizations. In the case of the automotive supplier, it was a misconfigured firewall rule. Another common weakness they exploit is unpatched vulnerabilities. In fact, that was the #1 way adversaries got into organizations, an instance that our team was brought in to remediate last year. It was used in almost half, 47% of cases. Another approach they use commonly to avoid triggering detection technologies is to use stolen access data and credentials. These here on screen are just some examples seen by Sophos XOps. These resources are readily available on the dark web, with initial access brokers offering them up to the highest bidder. Adversaries also often use legitimate IT tools in their attacks. We saw this several times in the automotive supplier story. Now, in this picture here, the top row shows the stages of the MITRE attack framework, detailing the steps that adversaries go through as they deploy their attacks. The bottom row shows the top artifacts or tools used at each stage of the attack, as observed by Sophos incident responders over 2021. As you can see, many of the tools mentioned in the automotive attack, Mimikatz, PSExec, RDP, feature here. Many of these are legitimate IT tools, PowerShell, for example, that's used by IT teams day in, day out just to do their jobs. The challenge for defenders is that automated technologies struggle to differentiate between legitimate IT staff using these tools and attackers exploiting them using stolen credentials. And just really to emphasize this point further, we saw that attackers used RDP in 83% of attacks we investigated last year. And while it is regularly used to gain external access, it is in fact most heavily used for internal movement once the adversary is inside the organization. So we face an increasingly challenging threat environment where adversaries are using tactics and techniques that take advantage of security weaknesses, they're imitating legitimate employees, and they're using legitimate IT tools to avoid being detected by security solutions. And this challenging threat landscape is impacting organizations of all sizes, not just large enterprises. 59% of IT professionals working in small and mid-sized companies saw an increase in the complexity of attacks on their organization last year. And at the same time, 57% saw an increase in the volume of attacks as adversaries take advantage of malware as a service models, AI, and automation. And almost 2/3, 66%, were hit by ransomware last year. And these attacks have considerable impact on the organization as a whole. 90% of businesses hit by ransomware said the attack impacted their ability to operate, while 86% of private sector organizations said the attack caused them to lose business or revenue. Of those who had their data encrypted in an attack, only 4% got it all back. And the overall bill for recovering from an attack came in at a huge $1.4 million. So it's a really challenging threat landscape and evolving adversary techniques. Let's take a look in that context at how MDR fits in. The reality is that technology solutions alone cannot prevent every cyber attack. We've seen how attackers use legitimate tools and security weaknesses to avoid detection by security solutions. At the same time, organizations are struggling to keep up with the volume, complexity, and impact of attacks. This is where managed detection and response comes in. MDR is a fully managed 24/7 service delivered by experts who specialize in detecting and responding to cyber attacks that technology solutions alone cannot prevent. By combining human expertise with powerful protection technologies and advanced AI-powered machine learning models, security analysts can detect, investigate, and neutralize even the most advanced human-led attacks, preventing data breaches and ransomware. Now, we need to make sure that MDR isn't confused with EDR, endpoint detection and response, and XDR, extended detection and response. While MDR, EDR, and XDR all support and enable threat hunting and response, EDR and XDR are tools that enable analysts to hunt for and investigate and neutralize potential compromise. With MDR, as security vendors, analysts are doing that on your behalf. And as their name suggests, EDR tools work with data points from endpoint protection technology, while XDR tools extend their data sources across a wider IT stack, including firewall, email, cloud, mobile security solutions, and more, to provide greater visibility and insights. And they work together. For example, at Sophos, we use our industry-leading XDR tool to deliver our MDR service. The challenges that we've seen with the threat environment is encouraging many organizations to add managed detection and response services to their cyber defenses. Gartner predicts that by 2025, half of organizations will be using MDR services. And at Sophos, our MDR offering is the fastest growing part of our portfolio, today serving over 12,000 customers around the globe. So let's now take a look at what MDR services actually do. And I'd like to walk you through a couple of real-world examples using the Sophos MDR service. When we think of MDR, I think the main focus is generally reactive threat hunting and incident response. And reactive is where the MDR analysts respond to suspicious signals in the customer's environment. Let me walk you through an example using a customer with 200 employees in the manufacturing sector in the US. So it started when our operators detected suspicious indicators in the customer's environment. Specifically, they detected tools associated with ransomware groups, along with Cobalt Strike, an adversary simulation tool that's commonly abused by adversaries. They instantly alerted the customer and started an investigation, sharing samples with Sophos XOps for detailed analysis. Within 30 minutes, they'd gained confirmation that a threat actor had got into the customer's environment and that the adversary's tactics, techniques, and procedures matched the early stages of a Cuba ransomware attack. Our team rapidly neutralized and evicted the adversary, preventing both data exfiltration and data encryption, and saving the customer hundreds and thousands of dollars of remediation cost, not to mention business interruption and lost earnings. And our team was then able to guide the customer on how to harden their defenses in order to reduce the likelihood of a similar incident in the future. So this is how MDR services enable organizations to avoid the cost, disruption, and business impact of a major breach or ransomware incident. The other side of the coin is proactive threat hunting, when analysts proactively hunt for threats following a particular trigger, which could be there's been an attack on an organization with a similar profile. For example, the MDR team observes that a pharmaceutical company has been targeted. So after remediating their incident, they then go and have a look to see if any other pharmaceutical companies are being targeted in a similar way. It could be an industry event such as Log4j. Perhaps it's a trigger from an early warning system such as the one run by Sophos XOps. Or it could be an event in the customer's wider environment that triggers the proactive threat hunting. And using that example, I'd like to share with you another Sophos story. So we had a brand new customer just signed up to the Sophos MDR service who emailed us to say a vendor they used had been hit by ransomware, and they were worried naturally that they may be impacted. The Sophos MDR team investigated. They didn't find any ransomware, but they did find a suspicious signal. Sophos Endpoint Protection had automatically blocked a really unusual file. They shared the suspicious file sample with Sophos XOps for further investigation. And using the information they got from Sophos XOps, they were able to identify a historic banking Trojan. They ejected the adversary and then advised the customer again on how to prevent a similar incident. So that's an example of proactive threat hunting. This is not to say that traditional prevention technologies are obsolete, quite the opposite. While human-led managed detection and response is an essential layer of defense, high-quality protection technologies remain critical to effective cybersecurity. Endpoint, network, email, and cloud security technologies continue to play a vital role, and the right solutions can actually increase the effectiveness and impact of an MDR service. Firstly, not all attacks are as complex as the ones we just looked at. The vast majority can be stopped automatically, and automated protection technologies enable defenders to stay ahead of the ever-increasing volume of attacks. For example, Sophos Endpoint Protection blocks 99.98% of threats automatically. Also, one of the biggest practical challenges facing threat hunters is noise. With a high volume of signals, it can be hard to see the wood from the trees. Superior prevention technologies reduce the number of alerts that human analysts need to investigate. By enabling threat hunters to focus on fewer, more accurate detections, high-quality prevention technologies accelerate human-led threat response. And with MDR, as we've seen, human analysts use detections and signals from prevention technologies to identify and investigate suspicious activities. The higher the quality of the detections and the greater the contextual insights, the faster and better the investigation and response. So now we know what MDR services do, let's now take a look at who uses them. And the reality is that all types of organizations use MDR services, from the smallest companies without an IT team to large enterprises with in-house SOC groups. So the question is really, how do organizations work with MDR services? Some organizations want to fully outsource their threat hunting and response to MDR specialists so they can focus on their business. Others want a team who can work with their in-house team, co-managing threat response, amplifying and extending their team with additional expertise and 24/7 coverage. While others still want to be alerted to threats and get remediation guidance so that they can take action themselves. You choose how you want to work with an MDR service. And if your needs change, you can change up your model too. For example, you may be following that third model most of the time, but over the holiday period, you want to move to the middle model to get extra support while team members are on vacation. So we've taken a look at what MDR does. Let's now take a look at what it doesn't do. Essentially, it doesn't do all the other IT and security management tasks that are part of defending an organization: patching, deployments, security strategies, user education. MDR doesn't replace MSPs or managed services partners who manage IT tools and infrastructure. And nor does it replace MSSPs, managed security services partners. But MDR services can work really closely with MSPs and MSSPs, and that is exactly what we do at Sophos. We're very proud to work with our partners to protect the customers against advanced threats and to quarterback the MSSP teams. So let's now take a look at the benefits of using MDR services. We've seen why organizations are increasingly adopting MDR services in response to the challenging threat landscape that we face, but there's a lot of benefits from using a service too. And while threat hunting, investigation and response can be done solely in-house, there are lots of advantages of working with an outsourced partner. The first of which is elevating your cyber defenses. When we've seen the challenges that we face with the threat landscape, it's perhaps not surprising that those enhanced defenses is the number one benefit that respondents report from using MDR services. One of the major benefits of using an external service over just using in-house resources is the breadth and depth of experience of the analysts. MDR vendors support multiple customers, so they experience a far greater volume and variety of attacks than any individual organization could, giving them a level of expertise that's almost impossible to replicate in-house. Also, because MDR teams are investigating and responding to incidents every day, they have much greater fluency in using the threat hunting tools. And this enables them to respond more quickly and accurately at all stages in the process, from identifying the signals that matter to investigating potential incidents and neutralizing malicious activities. Working as part of a larger team also enables the analysts to share experiences and learnings, further accelerating response. Just an example of this. So the Sophos MDR team collates runbooks for each threat or unique actor that we come across. Once an adversary is identified, rather than needing to carry out widespread research at the time of the attack, the team can leap straight into action. And the runbooks are continually updated with information like the tactics, techniques, and procedures common or specific to a particular attack or threat actor, relevant indicators of compromise, known proofs of concepts for exploits tied to open vulnerabilities, and useful threat hunting queries when dealing with a particular type of attack. And further advantage of MDR services is that they can apply intelligence from one customer to others that match the same target profile, such as other organizations in the same sector, enabling them to create community immunity for the targeted group. Just to put some numbers on this, I'd like to share with you the average performance stats for the Sophos MDR team. We have a mean time to detect of less than a minute. Our mean time to investigate is 25 minutes, and we go really deep, leveraging the expertise of Sophos XOps. And our mean time to respond is less than 12 minutes, giving a total resolution time of 38 minutes. So being able to stop threats in these sort of timescales transforms your defenses, protecting you against even the most advanced attacks. And the greater breadth and depth of experience and ability to apply learnings across our customers' environments enables the Sophos MDR team to elevate organizations' defenses above and beyond what they could achieve solely in-house, as these quotes demonstrate. I'd like to highlight the one at the top from Chitale Daria, customer in India, who said tangible returns from using Sophos MDR include a 90% reduction in time to detect high-risk threats that require investigation, a 95% reduction in time to identify the source of attack and type of threats, and improved accuracy of detections. A second key benefit of using an MDR service is the time that it frees up for you. Threat hunting is time-consuming and unpredictable. For IT professionals juggling multiple tasks and priorities, it can be hard to keep up with the challenge. And given the potential impact of an attack, when something suspicious is detected, you need to drop everything so you can investigate and act on it immediately. And the urgent nature of the work can prevent you from focusing on more strategic and, frankly, often more interesting challenges. Working with an MDR service enables you to free up IT capacity to support business-focused initiatives. And when I speak to Sophos MDR customers, this is probably on a day-to-day basis, the single biggest advantage that they talk about. In fact, they can say it better than me, as you can see in these quotes. But a couple that I'd like to call out specifically. Firstly, the one from London's South Bank University in the UK. Using MDR services is not about replacing the IT team, rather it's about enabling the IT team to better focus on activities that will help achieve the organization's goals. In this case, improving student satisfaction, which in turn improves student recruitment. And the second quote I'd like to highlight is from the Fresh Market, a customer who is in the US, a retail chain. As they highlight, through using our MDR service, they've been able to focus on proactively elevating their defenses in other ways and maturing their overall security posture. A third benefit reported by organizations using MDR services is 24/7 peace of mind. An attack can come at any time, and threat hunting and response is a round-the-clock task. If you only do it during office hours, you're leaving your organization greatly exposed. By providing 24/7 coverage, MDR services provide considerable reassurance and peace of mind. For IT teams, this can literally mean being able to sleep better at night, being able to relax, knowing that the buck stops with the MDR provider, not them, and that they can regain their evenings and weekends. And this is true both for IT teams that fully outsource their threat hunting and response and those who supplement and extend their own teams with MDR services. I think this quote from Vancouver Canucks, a customer in Canada, says it very well. Having the MDR team behind me helps me sleep better at night. For senior leaders and customers, 24/7 expert coverage and a high level of cyber readiness at all times provides powerful reassurance that the data and the organization as a whole is well protected. Another advantage of using an MDR service is that it takes away the challenge of needing to recruit in specialist threat hunters. Threat hunting is a highly complex operation. Individuals in this space need to possess a quite specific and niche set of skills. Typically, they are people who are creative and curious. Looking for threats can be akin to looking for a needle in a haystack. They have experiences in cybersecurity, and they also have good knowledge of the threat landscape and the latest threat trends. They have that adversarial mindset, the ability to think like an attacker, and they're able to write technically. They have good knowledge of operating systems and networking, and experience of coding, to build programs, automate tasks, pass logs, and carry out data analysis. This is a rare combination of competencies exacerbated by a skills shortage in the IT sector. And this can make it really hard, if not impossible, to recruit in the necessary expertise for many organizations. MDR services provide that expertise for you. They recruit, develop, and support threat hunting and response experts. At Sophos, we have hundreds of analysts located around the globe, providing continuous service for our customers. Sophos MDR enables our customers to expand their security operations capabilities without expanding their headcount. And I love this quote from Hammond Care, a customer in Australia. They say that they now have an extension of their existing security practice without needing to build their own in-house capability. And then finally, when we're talking about the top benefits of using an MDR service, we come to the ROI point. MDR services make a lot of sense from an ROI perspective too. Firstly, let's compare setting up an in-house team with outsourcing to an MDR provider. Through leveraging economies of scale, MDR services provide a cost-effective way to secure your organization and let your cybersecurity budget go further. As this quote here from Detmold Group in Australia says, the Sophos MDR service provides the coverage of 6 people for the cost of less than 1. Secondly, by elevating protection, MDR services also greatly reduce the risk of experiencing a costly data breach or ransomware event, avoiding the financial pain of dealing with a major incident. As we saw earlier, the average cost of remediating a ransomware attack in mid-sized organizations comes in at $1.4 million. So investing in prevention makes wise financial sense. And thirdly, if you use an MDR provider that also provides endpoint or other cybersecurity offerings, you can enjoy considerable financial advantages from consolidating with a single vendor. Rather than paying one vendor for endpoint protection and another for MDR, by working with the same vendor for both, you can reduce your license costs and also your day-to-day vendor management overheads. And one final but really important point on the ROI front. By choosing a vendor that integrates with your current security technologies, you can increase return on your existing investments, make them work harder for you, get more from them. At Sophos, we have a vendor-agnostic approach to MDR, providing managed detection and response for any environment. We can take signals from our Sophos next-gen tools using our natively integrated XDR from our firewall, endpoint, cloud, email, and more. And we can take signals from pretty much any other security technology through our highly compatible hybrid XDR, just some examples here on screen. And we can do a combination of the two. So whichever technologies you're using in your existing environment, we can use them to help hunt down threats, increase your defenses, and increase your ROI. So to just sum that up, the top 5 benefits reported by users of MDR services are improved cyber defenses, freeing up IT capacity, that 24/7 peace of mind, the ability to add expertise rather than headcount, and improved cybersecurity ROI. Now, I've mentioned Sophos MDR quite a few times during this session, and I want to wrap up with an overview of our offering. You've already heard from our customers about their experiences with our service and the benefits they enjoy. Sophos MDR provides proactive human-led threat hunting, powerful threat detection using XDR tools, and full instant investigation and remediation. We have over 12,000 customers, and that number is growing literally daily. A major principle of Sophos MDR is compatibility. Sophos MDR meets you where you are. From a people perspective, we can completely manage threat response for you, we can co-manage it with your team, or we can alert your team to threats that require action. When it comes to the processes, we can fully eliminate the threat for you, we can contain the threat so your team can eliminate it, or we can provide you with a detailed alert and remediation guidance. And as we just looked at, we can use our technologies, non-Sophos technologies, or a combination of the two. We include free integrations with any endpoint protection platform with our service, as well as the option to purchase add-on integration packs for virtually any security tool that generates threat detection data, firewalls, emails, and more. And because we can take signals from across your environment, we can deliver faster, better response. Communication is key with MDR services, and at Sophos we provide weekly and monthly reports so you can see what we're doing on your behalf, and also share with your senior leaders so they too know that we've got your back. And we're really proud of our customer experience too. We're the highest rated and most reviewed vendor across MDR, endpoint and firewall on Gartner Peer Insights as of August 1st, 2022. So that's independent Gartner verified customer feedback. And talking about feedback, we're also rated the top vendor in the 2022 G2 grid for MDR services, serving the mid-market. So that's great testimonies and great support from customers using our service. Our MDR services are part of our adaptive cybersecurity ecosystem, an ecosystem that seamlessly combines world-leading services, technologies, expertise, and tools in one holistic solution. For existing Sophos customers, this means you can add to your Sophos defenses whenever you want, extending and building on your protection. And if you're new to Sophos, you can build out a long-term security strategy with a committed partner whenever you want, always knowing that your defenses are powered by our unparalleled threat intelligence. So thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found this session useful. I hope you've gained understanding into why organizations are increasingly turning to MDR services and the benefits that organizations are enjoying from using a third-party MDR provider. Do join us tomorrow for the next session in MDR Week, when we'll be diving into real-world incidents with frontline analysts. And if this session has made you think you'd like to consider Sophos MDR for your organization, do speak to your Sophos representative to discuss what's right for you, or check out Sophos MDR on our website. So thank you very much for your time today, and wishing you a very happy and successful rest of your day. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sally, for that fantastic overview. So if I could summarize on the key points that Sally made there, first and foremost, the threat landscape is more challenging than it has ever been before. The cyber criminals are getting much more sophisticated and using legitimate tools against us that mean that technology on its own simply isn't enough to defend an organization anymore. And the most effective cybersecurity strategies include human-led threat hunting in order to have that human expertise distinguish and tell the difference between legitimate use of tools and the cyber criminals using those tools against us. Our MDR services add expertise into your organization. We will work alongside your existing team and also your existing security technologies. So if you happen to have a team of security operations already, then we will work with them. If you happen to be outsourcing that to an MSSP, then we can work with them if you wish. And the same is also true of your protection technology. So of course, we naturally integrate with the Sophos portfolio, but if you have third-party vendors, almost certainly we'll be able to collate telemetry and threat intelligence from those devices and software installs so that we can offer our team the very best chance of being able to find malicious content and activity on your estate. And then finally, MDR services deliver real business benefits, the confidence of having good security, the freeing up of resources so that your team can go and do other tasks that will potentially drive the business forward much more effectively. And we'll be looking, of course, at the business benefits in much more depth during the third and final session of this webinar series. So to wrap up, cybersecurity is a challenge which is too great for most organizations to be able to cope with themselves, which is why MDR services are so very popular. MDR services add 24/7 human expertise to your existing cybersecurity strategy so that we can detect and potentially control malicious activity on your estate. Our MDR service will meet you where you happen to be in terms of how you're doing cybersecurity and human-led threat hunting right now, and also integrate with the tools that you are operating today, and ultimately deliver a tangible return on investment for your cybersecurity spend. Now, as I said, this is the first in a series of 3 webinars. Tomorrow, I'm particularly excited about, so please come back tomorrow and listen to our... Now, as I mentioned, this is the first in a series of 3 webinars. Join us tomorrow. I'm particularly excited to present to you tomorrow. So please join us tomorrow to hear from our expert threat hunting team. I'm very excited to be able to showcase a couple of interviews with our security operations team, and we'll share with you some stories from the front line. We'll look at a very complex attack and how that was thwarted using our expertise. We'll look then at why faster responses give better security outcomes, and we'll then go back to our security team to hear how a quick reaction helped to keep a customer safe and keep their environment safe. And we'll conclude tomorrow's session by looking at how we can deliver security your way and how telemetry gives us the very best security outcomes. So as I mentioned, today is just one in a series of 3 webinars. So do come back tomorrow. I'm particularly excited to present to you the content that is included in tomorrow's session, where we will hear from our expert threat hunting team. We'll hear from them about a complex attack and how that was thwarted using our expertise. Then we'll look at why faster responses give better security outcomes. And that will be reinforced by another interview with one of our security team, where we will look at how quickly responding to an incident helped to keep a customer safe from a potentially serious attack. Then we'll wrap up with how security is delivered and how security can operate your way. And we will talk about telemetry and why having a rich source of telemetry and a diverse set of telemetry helps to give our security team the best data to give you the best security outcomes. But that's all for today. So thank you very much indeed for your time and attention. I hope you found the content to be useful and insightful. I look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow to continue the session, same time tomorrow. And I also look forward to answering any questions that you might have as a result of what you've seen today. But in the interim, take care, bye for now, and see you again very soon.